we've all been there, haven't we? That moment, that split second where you have to choose between what's easy and what feels right.
Oh, absolutely.
Like maybe you found a wallet just packed with cash on the street, or a friend wants you to cover for them something serious.
Yeah, that little internal struggle, that ethical pull, it's something everyone experiences.
Totally. And
Yeah.
those aren't just, thought experiments. They happen. They're like little daily tests of our moral judgment.
Mm-hmm. Every choice, big or small, it sort of reflects our values, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it has consequences, ripples outwards.
Yeah, exactly. And that inner wrestling match, that's really what we're diving into today, moral development and measurement.
Right.
Our mission here, it isn't just to get bogged down in academic terms. It's about understanding how that really personal sense of right and wrong actually, forms, how it changes over our lives.
And maybe surprisingly, how we can actually get a handle on it, maybe even measure it in some ways.
Yeah. We've pulled together quite a bit of material for this deep dive, including a really detailed presentation that looks at the core theories, some fascinating real-world cases, and just some deep thinking on moral growth.
The goal is to give you, the listener, a direct path to being really well-informed on something that honestly underpins society itself.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning.
Cool.
What is morality, like really, beyond just a list of rules?
Well, our sources frame it as something much more fundamental. It's like the basic concepts that hold society together.
Okay.
You could think of it as our internal GPS, maybe, guiding our ethical choices. It covers how we see fairness, justice, respecting others, that kind of stuff.
An inner compass. I like that. Now, something that often gets tangled up is the difference between morality and, well, the law.
Ah, yes. That's a really crucial distinction. Laws are, those clear mandatory rules society sets up. External authority enforces them.
Right. Break a law, face a consequence. Police, courts, fines.
Exactly. They're the hard guardrails, designed to maintain order, protect rights, but morality, that's different.
How so?
Morality comes from inside, from our values. It's often called a soft norm because there isn't usually an immediate external force making you follow it.
No police officer for your conscience, huh?
Not directly, no. But it's incredibly powerful. It shapes our character, how we treat people, our relationships. It's what helps build a functioning, harmonious society. It's that inner voice guiding you, even when no one's watching and no law applies.
So it covers that vast space where laws don't explicitly tell you what to do.
Precisely. It's about responsible choices in those gray areas.
That really clarifies things. It puts the spotlight on individual integrity. And what's super interesting is that this inner compass, as we're calling it, isn't fixed. It changes, it grows.
Our understanding of right and wrong isn't static at all. It evolves over our lifetime.
Which brings us to the journey of moral growth. I really like the analogy one of our sources used, comparing it to a tree growing.
That's a great one, yeah. In the early stages, our moral thinking is very focused on immediate results, like a tiny seedling, right? It needs external support.
So it's mostly about, will I get into trouble?
Pretty much. Avoiding punishment is the main driver. But then, as we mature, like the tree growing stronger roots in a trunk, we start to internalize social rules. We genuinely begin to consider other people's feelings.
Becoming more aware of the social environment.
Exactly. And eventually, like a fully mature tree, branches reaching high, we develop independent moral principles. We get capable of making really informed choices in complex situations. It's a much deeper, more nuanced understanding.
That growing tree is a perfect lead-in to Piaget's theory of moral development. Our sources point to this as foundational, not just for understanding, but also for teaching morals. Piaget broke it down into 3 main stages, didn't he?
He did. The first is the pre-conventional stage. This is where people often kids, but not always judge right and wrong based purely on the direct results for them.
So avoiding punishment, getting rewards.
Exactly. The reasoning is very self-focused. What's in it for me, or will I get caught?
Then comes the conventional stage.
Right. Here, people start understanding and sticking to societal norms, laws. They follow the rules because it maintains order, gets approval. It's about being a good citizen or a good person according to what society expects.
Okay, conforming to the group, essentially.
In large part, yes. And then there's the post-conventional stage. This is where it gets really advanced.
How so?
Individuals at this stage develop their own independent moral principles. They can look critically at existing rules, see when maybe a rule isn't fair or needs to change. They make mature judgments in tricky dilemmas, often prioritizing universal ethical ideas even over specific laws or social pressures.
That's a big leap. Let's make this concrete. Remember that lost wallet scenario, full of cash? How would someone at each stage likely react?
Okay, so pre-conventional. The decision is probably driven by fear or potential reward. I better return it, or I might get caught and punished, or maybe if I return it, maybe I'll get a reward. It's all about the personal outcome.
Makes sense. And conventional.
At the conventional stage, the thinking shifts. They'd return it because honesty is the best policy, or good people return lost things. It's about following the established social rule, doing what's expected.
Right, fulfilling that social role.
Exactly. Now, post-conventional, this is different. The person would return it, but their reasoning would be deeper. They'd think about the owner, how distressed they must be.
Empathy comes in strongly.
Very strongly. And they'd actively consider the best way to return it. Maybe try finding the owner directly using an ID in the wallet, rather than just handing it to the police. It's about understanding the ethical core of the situation and acting on that principle.
Wow, that really highlights the evolution in thinking. So if we understand morality and how it develops, it follows that researchers must have ways to measure it, to figure out where someone might be on this journey.
They do, yes. There are specific tools used to assess someone's level of moral development. And it's not about labeling people good or bad.
Right, it's about understanding the way they reason morally.
Precisely. Understanding the complexity and structure of their moral thinking.
So what kinds of tools are we talking about?
Well, one well-known one is the Defining Issues Test, or DIT. It's standardized. It gives people moral dilemmas and asks them to rate the importance of different arguments or solutions.
Ah, so it's not just their final answer, but why they think certain reasons are important.
Exactly. That's the key. It reveals their underlying reasoning patterns. Another approach uses moral dilemma stories. These are just narratives with ethical conflicts. Researchers analyze how people say they'd handle them, digging into their thought process.
So presenting scenarios and seeing how they work through them.
And then there's also behavior watching. Researchers observe how people actually act in real situations, or sometimes in controlled experiments.
Trying to see if their actions match their stated reasoning.
Sort of, yes. It helps connect the abstract thinking to practical choices. All these tools together help researchers study moral development across different people, different cultures, and understand it much better.
It's pretty amazing that we can get such concrete insights into something as seemingly abstract as morality. Now, thinking bigger picture. It seems obvious that when people are operating at different moral levels, conflicts are bound to happen, right?
Absolutely. You see it all the time. Disagreements between, say, students and school principals over rules. Or in workplaces, where some people might cut corners or cheat, while others insist on honesty. These often stem from different underlying moral frameworks.
So how do we deal with that when people are just reasoning about right and wrong differently?
It's tricky. Our sources suggest a few things. First, having clear rules, and importantly, consistent consequences. This protects those acting ethically and sets a baseline.
Like the laws we talked about, but maybe on a smaller scale, like in a school or company.
Exactly. Second, strengthening education and guidance is crucial. Things like business ethics courses aren't just fluff. They can genuinely help people develop more sophisticated moral judgment.
And personally, if you find yourself in a moral conflict with someone,
The advice is usually to stay calm, communicate rationally. Try to explain why certain actions are harmful or unethical, focusing on the impact on others. Also, seeking institutional backup if needed, following official procedures.
don't go it alone, basically.
Right. Building a support network with others who share similar ethical values can be really important too. And ultimately, you try to find a consensus that aligns with core moral principles without, compromising your own integrity.
That leads perfectly into business ethics. You mentioned it's not just fluff. It sounds absolutely critical for success today.
It really is. It's not just an add-on anymore. The goal of teaching business ethics is to equip future leaders to make responsible choices driven by integrity, especially when things get complicated and the pressure is on.
Teaching ethical problem-solving skills and strong values.
Yes, because in our super interconnected world, what a company does can have huge effects, way beyond its shareholders.
Social impact, environmental impact.
All of it. Ethical companies tend to achieve more sustainable, long-term success. They protect public welfare, thinking about employees, customers, the environment, communities. Unethical companies, on the other hand, they risk harming everyone, including themselves. They eventually face a collapse of trust, maybe legal trouble, self-destruction, really.
It's not just bad PR, it's potentially fatal for the business.
Definitely. It's about long-term survival and genuine contribution.
Let's make this concrete again with some business cases. Imagine an engineer finds a serious safety bug in a new product. Fixing it means delaying the launch, costing money, disappointing customers, maybe.
Okay, so someone operating at a lower moral level might be tempted to hide it or downplay it. It's probably a low risk. We need to hit our sales targets, maybe even try to shift blame if it comes out later.
Focus on the immediate pressure, the short-term goals.
Right. But someone at a higher moral level, they'd immediately report it transparently. They'd likely come with proposed solutions, emphasizing consumer safety and the company's reputation above all else.
Even suggesting the delay themselves?
Absolutely. Prioritizing long-term trust and safety over short-term metrics is a totally different calculation.
Okay, another one. An accountant's boss tells them to fudge the numbers on a financial report to make the company look better. Maybe hints at a bonus if they cooperate?
Uh-huh. Classic dilemma. The lower moral level response might be to comply. Maybe they're scared of losing their job. Maybe they want the bonus. They might rationalize it like, everyone does this, or I'm just following orders.
Deferring responsibility, focusing on personal gain, or avoiding personal loss.
Exactly. Now, the higher moral level accountant, they'd push back. They'd insist on professional ethics, on accurate reporting. They might suggest legal ways to improve the financial picture, but they wouldn't falsify data
They'd be thinking
about investor rights, the company's long-term health, legal compliance, their own professional integrity. If the boss insists, they might even escalate it to higher management or an ethics hotline.
It's a fundamentally different approach. These cases really show how the level of moral reasoning leads to vastly different actions with huge consequences.
They do. And the key takeaway seems to be that higher moral levels consistently involve prioritizing the broader, long-term good, integrity, and ethical principles, even when short-term gains or pressures tempt otherwise. It's a shift from self-interest to principled action.
So wrapping this up, what we've really explored today is that moral judgment isn't fixed. It develops, it evolves. We've looked at how that happens, the stages involved, and even how we can understand and apply this knowledge.
From those tiny personal choices we face every day to the massive ethical challenges in global business.
We talked about morality being like a personal compass for life's journey. It doesn't just point you in a direction, it gives you stability, especially when the path gets rocky or unclear.
And like any compass, it needs checking sometimes, right? It needs calibration. Our moral compass needs ongoing learning, real reflection, and frankly, the courage to act on what we understand to be right.
So maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this. How can you personally calibrate your own moral compass? What have you heard today that resonates that might help you navigate those tricky choices?
Because engaging in that process, the continuous learning and reflection, isn't just about personal integrity. It actually contributes to building a more humane, more just world for all of us.